The Emperor has foreseen a new threat rising against him. The Podwans Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Podwans Podcast. How you doing, Hereth?
You know, I'm doing good. We played a little old game over here called The Force on Mid.
Whoa. Let's not get too hasty here. Last month we played a game called The Clone Wars, Star Wars The Clone Wars for the PlayStation 2. We jumped up a generation to play a new game. We played The Force Unleashed, which similarly has a title for the Sims 1 expansion where they added pets, was called The Sims Unleashed, if you didn't know that. So there's not a lot of connection between the two games, but yes, The Force Unleashed, the fan favorite of a lot of people's like Star Wars games. I played this game like when it came out. I was super hyped for this game. Like with the, do you remember the trailer for The Force Unleashed?
No, because I was 3 years old.
Oh, the trailer was insane, man. Like the trailer was like very simple. It was basically a Star Destroyer just like coming, doing its thing. You're like, oh, okay, Star Wars, okay, cool. And then you hear, and it's just creaking and twisting, and then it slowly zooms out to someone like holding their hands out. And like it just crashes down and stops right at their face. And then it's just Star Wars, The Force Unleashed, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. Insane trailer. There were a couple of variations where they would add gameplay at the end of that, but like that was the initial reveal trailer was just someone pulling down a Star Destroyer with the Force, which is something we'd never really seen before.
Which is so very interesting because to me, my memory of like obviously the Force Unleashed marketing is for the less popular, more scrutinized sequel with like Starkiller and the super cinematic trailers of him like going crazy with the Force and that kind of stuff.
So I played Force Unleashed 2. I actually borrowed a copy from a friend like when it was like relatively new. I never beat it. I never beat the second game. I played a little bit of it. I know that it's like substantially shorter than the first game.
You can beat it in like 2 hours. Extremely easily. I
know that it's like it was like kind of panned for being too short. The one thing I do know about Force Unleashed was it was an ESRB like minefield because Aspire, who I believe worked on the second game, they did the PC port for sure, and I can't remember if they made the original game, but
I know it was LucasArts for the original, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Aspire.
Yeah,
now PC porter Aspire.
They snuck in Dismemberment into the second game, and I think I can't remember. There might have been a lawsuit about that. I can't remember because like a couple of games have had rating changes over the years. Elder Scrolls Oblivion had a rating change like 3 months in to its initial release. Like at one point, I had a copy of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion that was rated T for teen, and like that's fairly rare. But yeah, I don't remember much of the second game outside of like, okay, you have 2 lightsabers and stormtroopers' heads come off now. Okay. But what is your history with The Force Unleashed? So you said you were 3 when the game came out.
Yeah.
I was out of high school when this game came out.
Man. So, like I said, I mostly have like I played both the PS2 and the 360 version growing up. I have more members of the 360 version because like again, I was 8-10 when I started playing the 360 version because I got it at a GameStop for like $5 because again, that was around the time when 360 was starting to get phased out. Like it wasn't fully phased out yet, but it was starting to get there slowly. It was like 2011, 2012. And I bought Force Unleashed 2 and Force Unleashed 1 at the same time. Like I had both copies of the original. And yeah, man, like I have a lot of nostalgia with this game.
Same. Like it's like this was a game that when I had it on PS3, like I got it I didn't do like a midnight launch with this game, but like I got it like the first day or the first week that it came out because I was so pumped for it. And I really liked the game. Like I genuinely really liked this game. I do remember having conversations with friends back in the day of like, and we'll definitely touch on this later, of like, the story sucks.
Oh no, the story's ass.
The story's really bad. But the gameplay was cool. And the thing about The Force Unleashed is like it let you do things you never could really do before in a Star Wars video game. The best way I could put it is like if you were playing with friends at recess in elementary school and you were playing Star Wars and you're like, I pull your X-Wing down with my force powers. That's this game. This game is the recess playground version of Star Wars.
And I can even get like more hyper specific to that, like analogy you're going there with. It's like the 10-year-old that's like, I want to be a Jedi, but I want to use lightning.
I wouldn't even say that. I think it's just a matter of like, you want lightning? Cool. What if you could remember when Palpatine, where the Emperor, uses Force lightning on Darth Vader? What if you use that on an AT-ST? Wouldn't that be cool? And what if like Force push would like disintegrate people? It's one of those things of like every power scaler's wet dream is fulfilled within The Force Unleashed.
Oh, yeah. Like one of the talking points I was going to say for this podcast is obviously you were in the fandom longer than me, but I feel like this game is like the cruxus of a starting point for like when Star Wars fans started thinking the Force is like Dragon Ball with like power scaling of like this character's better than this character. Oh, Starkiller is so cool and powerful. He can I feel like it started there for the fandom.
100%. I think that one of the things about this game is if we can get into let's talk about the good first, because I think there's a lot of good in this game. I think that the main thing that this game does well is it makes you feel cool. It makes you. You're right. It turns the Jedi into Dragon Ball characters, your superheroes. This is a game that like when you are like, and without getting into the negative too early, when there are a lot of like stormtroopers or like the Rhodians on Raxus Prime or the Felucians, and you are just ripping through them, like you're just chaining lightsaber combos and throws and lightning, and it's like you're like, man, that was awesome. Like you and especially I played it on the regular, like I think it's Sith Warrior is like the normal difficulty.
Yeah, I did the same thing as well.
I tried beating it a second time. I remember when I first got it on the hardest difficulty, and the game gets pretty hard. Like it's just like enemies just do an insane amount of damage to you, and they have more health. It's just one of those types of difficulty scalers. This time around, I was like, I wonder what easy mode is like, and so I played on easy mode. I died once. There was a part in Raxus Prime where that like container ship like opens with like the 3 AT-STs and like the 10 purge troopers.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
you're talking about
snipers.
Raxus Prime 2, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the one time I died, and I was like, I just got caught in like a knockdown loop, and like eventually just like willed down my health. Because I remember like struggling with like the Vader and Palpatine fight at the end, because it's not easy, and like the Vader fight is cool. The fight you have with Vader at the end is super cool. The fight you have with Palpatine is super lame.
Do you want me to drop my hot take? I think the Vader boss fight is like the weakest boss fight in the entire game. It's just legitimately.
I think it's cool. I think the way they do the camera angles, where it kind of turns into like that, like fighting game style. I like that fight. I think because like there's like playing it again. There's not a ton of boss fights in this game.
Yeah,
you have Coda, you have Shakti, you have Proxy, and then you have Vader and Palpatine.
And then you have the junk Jedi. Am I forgetting his name? The one that you have on the first Raxus Prime boss fight, because remember it's the 3 trials, and then it's then the betrayal,
the junk monster. Yeah, that's right.
And then you have the Shakti's apprentice, and then the Rancor again.
Yeah, the Rancors are like mini bosses though.
Yeah.
Like same with like the ATSTs are little, or that like that super upgraded ATST is like a little mini boss. I like the Vader fight. I think my favorite boss fight. They're all
kind of
bad. Yeah, Proxy as like I am a Star Wars fan, and I think that this is just fan service is cool. Like when he turns into Darth Maul and like Duel of the Fates starts playing, and it's like, all right, stop thinking and enjoy it. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool fight. But when you're like, what connection does Galen Merrick have to Darth Maul? What is going on? Like, there's so many aspects of this game that is just like, it's just fan service. That's all it is. It's like I said, it's that recess playground fantasy come to life. And you have a character that is
who has no personality and is basically just a sociopath.
He is interesting, period. Like, I will leave it at that. Like, he is an interesting character.
Yeah, because kind of getting like 11 minutes into the podcast, I guess I'll add like a little bit of a twist. Not only did I play the 360 version, I played a little bit of the PS2 version, but I also fully read the novelization for Force Unleashed. Because I was genuinely curious, because for the longest time, I've heard from the fandom, it's like, man, the novelization is so much better. Man, it's so much better. Circular is so much less overpowered. He has more of a character. And I'm like, they're like, you guys don't understand Force Unleashed until you've read the novelization. So I was like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity. I'm never going to read this again. So I might as well just take my shot now on the podcast. And nothing. None of it's improved. His character's still a sociopath and has no really any personality. He's still super overpowered as fuck. Like, they don't lower it down. I thought they would a little bit, but they don't really. And also, it's not really a Starkiller book. It's a Juno book. It's more in Juno's point of view.
From her perspective. Okay.
And then like they'll add in like some Starkiller stuff.
Yeah, I never read the book. I never had the desire to. I'm going to say this. As someone who grew up with the originals, because this came out in 2008, the same year that the Clone Wars came out, and here's the thing: in 1 year, we got 2 Anakin Skywalker apprentices.
Yeah, no, because I remember Sam Witwer joking about that like, on a podcast. He's like, "Yeah, it's 2008. Anakin has 2 apprentices that hold their lightsaber backwards."
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I was already out of high school. I was 2 years out of high school when the Clone Wars came out and when the Force Unleashed came out. Take a guess which one, like, resonated more with someone who's out of high school. Ding, 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 Force Unleashed.
I feel like at the time the fandom was just like pitting these 2 characters against each other just because they're Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. Like,
being on the internet and talking to people who like, hey, believe it or not, anyone watching that's a big Clone Wars fan, the Clone Wars was not well received in 2008. Like, it was hated. Because social media was in its very much infant state, like MySpace was at this point being replaced by Facebook. It's just like the prequels weren't going over well. The Clone Wars wasn't helping. It was like, yeah, this stupid little boy, and they screwed up Darth Vader, and now you're screwing him up even more by giving him an apprentice. And then you have the Force Unleashed in the same year. And what I think made it better, not only for other people, but also for me at the time, was this is Darth Vader's secret apprentice to take over Palpatine. That helped more than Anakin Skywalker had a prequel the whole time during the Clone Wars and was never mentioned in the movies.
I do love Nick in the chat going, "Lies, Chase. YouTube tells me Clone Wars is the greatest thing ever."
It's not. Unfortunately, it's really not. I yearn for the day when the Clone Wars glaze and Revenge of the Sith glaze has finally come to an end, and we can actually have a discussion about like, yeah, 80% of the Clone Wars is not good. Like, it's just not. But we're not here to talk about the Clone Wars. We're here to talk about the Force Unleashed.
Instead, we can talk about another mid story, The Force Unleashed.
The Force Unleashed. Let me. All right, this is my soapbox for video games during this era. This was an era where I was playing a lot of video games. Like, I didn't have a PC at the time. I kind of like moved away from PCs and just had a PlayStation 3. And so I was kind of filling my backlog of like PS2 games I had missed out on, and because like I had the PS3 that was backwards compatible with the PS2.
Because PS3 had no games.
By the time that The Force Unleashed came out, like the PS3 had games. Like both Resistance games were out. Killzone 2 was out. There were like I think Uncharted was getting ready to come out or had come out already. But here's the thing about The Force Unleashed. If you take a Star Wars fan who doesn't play a lot of video games, this is probably the coolest thing ever. And it was cool. I don't want to take that away from this game. It is a cool video game. The force powers are cool. The upgrades are even cooler. The way it feels to just chain lightsaber attacks on different enemies is also cool. Mm-hmm. We cannot take that away from this game. The issue for me has always been and remains to this day that when people say, Jedi Fallen Order is better just because video games over time have gotten better, which is true. Mm-hmm. But The Force Unleashed came out in the middle of games like Devil May Cry and Vanquish and Bayonetta and God of War 3 and then the Mass Effect games.
Yeah.
Like every other game was doing what The Force Unleashed was doing, but better.
Yeah, because like this is the era of like Grand Theft Auto 4 and like Rockstar was really starting to like ramp it up and like where story games were kind of getting pushed to the next level.
Well, here's the thing. Like the story thing is weird because like we've had good stories in video games for a long time. Like if you look at Final Fantasy 6 or 3, depending on where you live, like the story that game tells on the Super Nintendo is incredible. You look at things like Final Fantasy 7 and 9 and then 10, which was also coming out at the time, like before The Force Unleashed. Yes, these are JRPGs in a totally different setting, but these are very good stories. You look at Metal Gear Solid, incredible storytelling. Mm-hmm. You got 3 Metal Gear Solids that had unparalleled storytelling and good action before The Force Unleashed came out. If you look at like the original Devil May Cries and the original God of War games, if you look at even games like Time Splitters, where like video games were really starting to find the control schemes and the play style that worked really, really well. And when we get to the PS3 era, that became even more refined. Like the action games we have on the PS3, and keep in mind what came out on the PS3, Dark Souls and Demon Souls, which led to Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. So like there was already really good action. And we got Devil May Cry 4, we got DMC, which is highly debated against the Devil May Cry fans, but it's a good video game. But you have Bayonetta 2 hadn't come out yet. You have, like I said, you had Vanquish. The new Monster Hunter games were coming out and were much more refined than their earlier ones. And the God of War 3 came out, and then you also had like cover shooters and stuff like that. But action games were starting to feel really smooth, really fluid. Have you ever played Vanquish?
No.
It's a third-person shooter, but it is like possibly one of the most fluid and best feeling third-person shooters ever made. But like games like that, games like Devil May Cry, were doing super well and were super fun. And you have the Force Unleashed, and it's the odd one out in the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can argue that Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, don't have the same super fluid combat that Force Unleashed has, which is true. But I would argue like their level design, the way their story unfolds, I think it's a video game story on both of those games. But like those are still really good games. And then the story of Force Unleashed. And like in a world where we have KOTOR 1 and 2, where we have Mass Effect, and we have all of these games that are starting to show that you can tell really interesting stories. Like the idea that like The Last of Us was only a few years after The Force Unleashed. Mm-hmm. It's like, what were we doing? Like they like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't remember hearing much trouble about the development like you had like with KOTOR 2 and stuff like that. But like, not only does The Force Unleashed feel remarkably worse than something like Jedi Fallen Order, it feels worse than every game around its own era.
It's just, again, like kind of jumping into like, because like obviously there's 9 levels in the game. You can really easily just sprint through like each level and kind of like associate it with the story pretty quickly, because the game's only like 5 hours if you're kind of speed running it.
Yeah, like I think if you're looking around for like the holocrons and stuff like that, and I'm going to say playing the game, like you're trying to learn the combos and stuff like that. And a lot of those combos are cool, like the Sith, like Smash Slam or something like that, where like your lightsaber gets imbued with like force lightning and it becomes super huge. Like, you'll never convince me that's not cool as hell. That's so much fun.
I've used it every single combat I got a chance to. I was like, cool.
Yeah, it's cool. But it's one of those things that like, even then, like the lock-on system barely works.
Oh, it's horrible. It's so much better on the PS2 version. Like it's not even funny.
The camera is a little finicky at times. It's not terrible.
There has been multiple times during my playthrough where the camera has murdered me. Like there was like during like the first like rock monster fight on Raxus Prime.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to get to like the force energy so I can get back down because I was starting to lose health, and I clipped through the floor and just die immediately. I'm like, what the fuck?
So I had one instance replaying it, and I never really had this where I did also, funnily enough, I fell through the world and died. And it was the one where you fight like you're pulling the little electricity pylons out. There's like 7 of them, and it's like it's a Kashyyyk, I think, the Imperial Kashyyyk. That got me killed when I was like jumping up something, and it just killed me. I think playing on the easiest difficulty just to see what it was like I said, like I only died once, like to like combat, but I did like fall to my death a handful of times. I think what would have like if like we were to get a remake or a remaster of this game, there's so many things I would change.
Oh, the parkour system is one of them. The parkour system in this game is not good.
It's okay. This is my thing about The Force Unleashed, and I made a video about it on TikTok yesterday. I put it up today. This is a PlayStation 2 action game with PlayStation 3 graphics. Like, it is clunky in the way a lot of PS2 action games were clunky. Like, if you played Onimusha, like I love going back to those games. Like, it's funny because like I've talked to AJ about this a ton of times of like, I love the old school tank controls of like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, comparatively to like the new, better controls. But like there is a level of like, oh, I'm playing a PlayStation 2 game. I'm playing Onimusha, and like it's just got these quirky moments. Like if you play DMC 1 or 2, it's clunky.
Yeah.
They are. You play DMC3. God damn, what a good game. I will be like, Devil May Cry 3 on the PS2 is so far ahead of its time. It's insane. That game is so good. But The Force Unleashed really just... I'm going to say this is like a really positive. It is a good looking game.
Yeah.
Like it is like there were times, especially in like some of the cutscenes, where I was like, the face capture that they did with Sam Witwer is so good.
Because this is the first ever game, I think, of this era to use motion capture.
LA Noire was like the big one for like the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3.
Yeah. Because like I remember ILM talking about this because again, with Lucasfilm being Lucasfilm wanting to kind of just push like boundaries forward and like all mediums, they were the one that actually pushed for motion capture in gaming, and they used Force Unleashed as kind of the benchmark to do it. And the reason why I don't know if you know this, the reason why Sam Witwer got cast as Starkiller was because he looked like one of the concept arts of Starkiller, and they're like, and David Collins is like, doesn't it look like your roommate Sam Witwer, who's like an actor on I forget the show. It was the same show as Katie Sackhoff.
No idea.
It's gonna come to me. It's like it's sci-fi. It's a yeah.
But yeah, like Sam Witwer, like this is nothing against Sam Witwer. I think he's very talented.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Sam Witwer performance.
Yeah.
Like I want to see him in a different type of role. Like,
you want to see him as edgy Dark Lord Sith guy number 5 again?
I don't want to see him as that. I want to see him as like a New Republic officer. I want to see him as like a Jedi. I want to see him, do something interesting that we don't expect out of him. Because I think he does that character well, but it's just like, this was the thing that I was thinking. There was a moment in the game when it's kind of like you start doing they're basically called the Imperial versions of the when you basically, instead of fighting the Rhodians and the Felucians, you're now fighting stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like when you go back to these planets, which funnily enough, compared to like the last game we played, Clone Wars, is like, man, you just go back to these planets. Like there's only like 3 planets in this game. But the levels are different, and so it's fine. He's like with Darth Vader, not with Darth Vader, with the Rebellion, not with the Rebellion.
His characters all over the place. It's
been so long since I beat this game, like in its entirety. I don't know if you caught it. There's clearly a production mistake in the game where Starkiller says, Proxy says, where are we going next? And he says, well, we need to go to Nar Shaddaa. Our next destination is Nar Shaddaa.
And he shows up in Cloud City.
Yeah. Like, clearly there was a miscommunication with the script writers and the level designers here.
Like that even that's even in the novelization. Like they kind of like retroactively make it work, going, oh, Starkiller was out for 6 months, and then Bail Organa was just moving Coda around from planet to planet to planet, hiding him. So I'm like, okay, they could have at least explained that in the game.
Yeah, that's like a sentence that like is not included in the game. And here's my thing. I have talked to people like doing TikTok lives and stuff like that have like Starkiller in their name, or they have a Starkiller profile picture, right? And they're and like their favorite character is Starkiller. Starkiller needs to be canon. I don't understand how May has like this flip-flop in the Acolyte.
Or like
I can see the complaint of like May wants to turn herself in to the Jedi Order with little motivation. I see that as a complaint in the show. The whole like she flip-flops for absolutely no reason, I think that's disingenuous. I think there are unconvincing motivations for her character to want to switch sides or at least turn herself in. I think that's a valid complaint. I think that's an invalid complaint if you have a Starkiller profile picture. Like he switches, like you don't actually know his allegiance until the last mission.
Yes.
like it's like when he. Oh, and this is another thing. Kid gets fucking blown out in space.
Okay, that's what I was going to talk about. So the thing that I was thinking about this entire time was if people are bitching about Kenobi, Ahsoka, any other show with like lightsaber impalement and like how this is bullshit because they could have died because Qui-Gon got stabbed in the exact same area. And they'll be like, man, The Force Unleashed is my favorite game. Starkiller's my favorite character. Bro, he got stabbed in the exact same spot as Qui-Gon. He got stabbed straight through the stomach and got shot straight into space. Like,
and they put a bag over his head and he was fine.
I don't understand why people, like, every single complaint that people have about the current canon is in this game to some extent.
Yes.
Like, people bitching about how Luke cut himself off in the Force and how it shouldn't be that easy. Coda does it and doesn't even really explain it, and just it becomes a weakened, like, frail little man. Like, I don't like Coda's characterization at all in this game because I remember like being very like nostalgic because I was like, oh yeah, Coda, that was really cool about how they took Coda and kind of put that on Kanan, and then like rewatching Rebels and then coming back to Force Unleashed, I'm like, man, Kanan's such a better version of this character. It's not even fucking funny.
100%. There's a lot of things in this, like with what Nora, the pilot, Juno. Sorry, I'm thinking of Nora Wexley. With Juno, very stereotypical, like 90s. You're there to be a love interest, like, or passive love interest for the brooding. It
doesn't make any
male
sense
character.
In the game.
When she kisses him, I'm like, okay. What romantic sexual tension did you guys ever have? Like there's definitely like problems that have always existed in Star Wars that like just never have made sense. Like I'm gonna say like the fact that there's no like surveillance cameras in Star Wars is hilarious.
Which is hilarious. So in the novelization, like that's like a constant subplot with Juno because they need to kind of constantly explain why Juno knows things, like how she figured out that like Starkiller was like secretly working for Vader or like that kind of stuff. So she just has. There's just this constant chapters where Juno is just hacking into like surveillance cameras, and like she hacks into like when like Palpatine shows up and like Vader like force slams Starkiller on, even though weirdly enough in the novelization it's not Palpatine, it's Proxy pretending to be Palpatine. But anyway, and I'm sitting there going, okay, so if Palpatine could just hack into Vader's like security footage, why would he need a spy to follow Starkiller back from Felucia to? Wouldn't you just take him out?
The story is like, when I first played it, I knew that like it was like a serviceable story. Like it's like, yep, this is Darth Vader's apprentice. He's back and forth with Vader, and he eventually is the reason the rebellion started. It's very weird saying this in a post-Andor world. I was fine with that at the time.
Now, like, I make fun of that to this day. Like, because I remember I was explaining this to Char, who's never played the game before, like, a couple years ago. And I was jokingly being like, oh, yeah, Starkiller is the entire reason the Rebel Alliance exists in Legends. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, he is. Like, he literally, Palpatine and Vader go, you're going to go basically form a Rebel Alliance in our secret. And then Starkiller becomes the most Gary Stu character, and it becomes the most important character to Bail Organa and Leia. And you're like, what the fuck? How?
Mon Mothma has like 7 seconds where she's less than that, probably, where they show her face in like the 3D render of her.
And then also, don't even get me started on the fact that the Rebel Alliance at the end of the game is on the Death Star. You're just like, huh? How does this make sense with A New Hope at all?
It's messy. It's really, really messy. It's definitely like playing it again. Like, because I'm going to say this. Like, I used to go back to this to just get my hacky slashy like fix with the lightsaber, and it is the perfect game for that. I think that's been kind of surpassed by like Fallen Order and Survivor at this point. But like back before those games existed, like I would just install it on when I had like the PC version. I would just install it and be like, yeah, it would be super cool just to run through some of like the Force Unleashed missions again.
Yeah.
Like, and it still is, but man,
I was also
some of the stories, some of the plot points are just rough.
Gonna jokingly bring up, because again, we're experiencing this in like a post Star Wars canon world. So like when they're kind of going over like the briefest, I know we're just jumping around a lot in the story, like we're going from the beginning to the middle to the end, but I'm going back to the beginning. When they're explaining like, oh yeah, Coda had a secret army militia. I'm like, man, imagine if Pong Crow had this shit, it would have been hilarious. Like, because it's like trying to like think about it in like a canon mindset, it destroys your brain, because you're just like, how did the Jedi Council approve him having a private militia during the Clone Wars? Because this is the whole point that Palpatine was trying to play both sides and make sure that no one had an outside. Why the hell did he even approve this? Like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, there's other things, like you have, I can't remember which one. It's like there's a specific like stormtrooper that's like, it's the one that's impervious to the lightning. It has like the blue shield. Mm-hmm. And like those are just clone troopers. Like those are 501st clone troopers, basically. Like same color markings and stuff like that. It's just one of those, like, I'll have to do some digging of like forum posts from 2008, like when this game came out, and how like I'm sure everyone's saying it craps on the Clone Wars and that this is the story we should, this is the prequel trilogy we should have gotten. I mean, that was the thing. Like, keep in mind, like when KOTOR came out, like that was the conversation. Like, this is the prequel trilogy we should have gotten. Mm-hmm. Again, for any younger listeners or viewers, prequels in Clone Wars were not loved, like, at all. They definitely had their renaissance, but it is so interesting looking at this game through the lens of, I'm going to say, how a lot of Clone Wars and prequel fans are now. Like, they are the age I was when I played Force Unleashed. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of these younger fans who are like 19, 20, 21, 22, that era, like your age kind of, right? And it's just like, I genuinely feel if this game never existed and it came out today, and had the story it does.
Oh, it'd be panned.
Oh yeah. Like, breaks canon, ruins Anakin, ruins Darth Vader, ruins Ahsoka, ruins the Clone Wars. It's so interesting to me that, like, the craziest thing to me today about this game is the fanfare around it.
Oh, like, it's hilarious that Starkiller, I feel like Starkiller and Revan are in the same tier of like bullshit, where it's like they're constantly compared to other characters of like, oh, this character is so much better. And I'm like, Starkiller is like how people complain about like how Rey is a Mary Sue. Starkiller is straight up a Gary Sue this entire game. He body whops everyone that comes near him. He doesn't have any struggles. He doesn't really have any flaws, really. He's just he's able to use anything he wants whenever he wants. Like, there's just no thread to his characterization at all. There's no flaws. There's no nothing. Like, he beats the shit out of Vader like it's nothing.
Well, he's trained. Like, I guess the one thing you can say, and like, if you look at how a lot of the people who complain about like Rey and stuff like that is like, she didn't have training. And I think a lot of people who complain about that, they put Vader on this pedestal, and he deserves to be on a pedestal. Vader's very cool. Anakin is a cool character. They're very strong in the Force. Power scalers go crazy with these two. If I hear the term Nightfall Anakin again, I will fucking blow my brains out. But the reason that he doesn't get marked as a Gary Stu or Mary Sue is that he was trained by Vader since he was a baby. Like, that's why he's so strong, is that he was trained by the best, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things, like, we don't see that, right? We don't see his training. He's like, when we take him, because, you know, the first level, you are Darth Vader, and I think that's a super smart way to start this game. You start as Darth Vader.
It's the best level of the game.
It's a cool level. I don't know if it's the best level. I think the Death Star level is really cool. Like, when you're going through the cannon, like, that's awesome. I will say the worst level is taking like the thing that was so cool
Okay,
about the
thank
trailer,
God.
taking down the Star Destroyer is awful.
Thank God. Okay, because I was holding my tongue on that rant.
So bad.
If I hear it one more time, reach out at the sky and grasp it like one more time, I was like, I was gonna crash out. It took me like 10 different times of like constantly grabbing it, like getting the stick just right, and then as soon as I'm starting to pull it down, TIE fighters come in. I have to immediately abandon what I'm doing. I have to run over.
It's not
destroy all the TIE fighters, and then run back, and then it's just
and then like the targeting doesn't hit the TIE fighters,
and then
so
you have to like
you
have to like put it in a really weird direction with the sticks. I mean, it's like you never can get it perfectly centered, and like the second you do, you're getting attacked immediately.
I don't hate QuickTime events. The ATST QuickTime event I think is bad. The fact that it starts, like any QuickTime event that is triggered by your attack button and the subsequent button for the QuickTime event is not the attack button, straight to jail. Like the amount of times that I would be wailing on an ATST and like trying to get a multi-X combo in there on him, and then the QuickTime triggers and I hit X when it wants me to hit A, and then it cancels out the whole thing. And I'm like, this is annoying. But those are like in general, if we're looking at gameplay, those are like the two. I don't like the trash monster. I think he's stupid and he's annoying. None of the other enemies, the snipers are annoying.
Oh, the snipers on the Death Star is awful. I immediately, when I got on the Death Star, I just immediately just force repelled and just jumped down immediately. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not even fighting any of them.
I will say the trash monsters, the Star Destroyers, the snipers, and the TIE fighters with this sort, like those are the only like I think truly bad gameplay design, bad moments of the game. Everything else, like it doesn't fit into like, especially the new canon, it doesn't fit in at all. Even back in the day, like what we talked about earlier is like Starkiller is at the time was a more palatable apprentice than Ahsoka was. Because it was Darth Vader's apprentice, not Anakin's apprentice. But that being said, like, I don't think there are that many egregious aspects to this game.
Yeah.
As nitpicky as I can be, and where I can say like the game isn't super amazing, I don't think that it's bad. I think it has bad moments. I think the story is, like I said, serviceable.
If you think the game story is serviceable in the first game, the second game story is like on crack in comparison to this.
I need to play it. I need to go through it. I've always meant to, and I just haven't, so maybe I should. Yeah. But like it's hard for me, especially like the nostalgia I have for this game. I don't have the affinity towards Starkiller. I will say this. Did you play Soul Calibur 4?
No, but I know he was a playable character in that game.
Yeah, and he was awesome in Soul Calibur 4. He was so cool.
Yeah. And I was going to ask, because obviously you kind of did reveal like what you chose, because at the time when I was playing through it as a kid, I didn't know you had the choice between going to Palpatine or jumping down and taking out Vader again. So, funny enough, like when I was playing the game, I was thinking about, I was like, okay, what is Chase most likely going to do? They're going to take on Palpatine. So I did the opposite. Yeah. I did the dark side ending just because I was like, already kind of like, this game is just glorified fan fiction. I might as well just fucking go all the way full send mode.
Yeah, like you get a different cutscene at the end. I don't remember if I ever did the dark side. I might have. I don't remember it. I always remember where he starts the rebellion. Like his sacrifice starts the rebellion.
The dark side ending is weird as hell. Like you kill Vader, you get back up, and then Palpatine's like, all right, one last test. You're going to kill Coda. And then Starkiller, being so indecisive, even though he decides to kill Vader, turns on Palpatine. Palpatine decides, because Yuna's starting to land just like in the original ending, to pick up Starkiller. Palpatine grabs it with the Force and just throws it on Starkiller, and then cripples his body, and then he gets a new armor suit that you see in all the DLCs.
Oh yeah, the gray helmet thing. Yeah, like it's interesting. Yeah, I went with Palpatine just because like he's the obvious choice. He's a bad boss fight. Like Like, not even that he's one of those annoying, like, it's the type of boss fight I hate the most is like, you can't attack me while I summon minions boss fight. I hate those boss fights. They're so bad. And that's what he is. He's a minion boss fight.
But
and
also I know like we joke about like how like, well, Vader trained Starkiller, so I guess it makes him kind of powerful, and like why even though it's stupid, you can kind of justify in your brain. You're like, okay, maybe Starkiller like knew Anakin's tendencies because he trained him, whatever, yada yada yada. You can throw him out the window. Palpatine, though, I'm like, how? Palpatine should just knock the floor with him and like completely destroy him.
He wouldn't be an interesting final boss if that weren't the case. And here's the thing. This is the last thing I'm actually going to say about this. And this is more, again, the fandom bullshit, is this complaint that has really come out of nowhere of like lightsabers used to be dangerous. And I'm just like, when? What game were you playing? Like, a lot of these stormtroopers take multiple hits to kill. Like, and it's fine. It's a video game. You need like it's totally fine that like your basic white armor stormtrooper is a one-hit kill. I think that is fun and fine. But then you have like I said, you have the stormtroopers that are impervious to lightning, and you have your stormtroopers that have more that like the shield and all that. And then you have the purge troopers, and I'm just like, okay, but still, based on how lightsabers are supposed to work, right? According to Organs, the Force Unleashed doesn't follow this, at all.
Because I remember, like, people used to like dunk on Fallen Order and Survivor by posting clips of Force Unleashed and being like, "Man, Cal Kestis is so weak, and Starkiller I used to do this, and why do lightsabers like what you're saying? Like lightsabers are so weak." I'm like, did you play the Force Unleashed again recently?
Yeah.
Because it's super watered down.
Yeah, you have to hit people multiple times. You have to drain a meter. It's crazy because like the one game that really nails that, I wouldn't even say really nails it, but does a really good job, is Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast, where it's like, yes, a lightsaber is a one-hit KO. Like, and the whole thing, like with when you fight, do you play Jedi Academy?
No, I want to. I have all of them on Steam because it's a part of the $100 LucasArts collection.
It's a great game, and like when you fight like dark side users with lightsabers, like it very much is like if you get a hit on them, they most likely go down. But it's like they're constantly blocking, and so like getting a hit is the difficult part. You obviously have health, but like a lightsaber does a ton of damage to you. And like, I don't see that game getting referenced. And I think, again, not to disparage you, but like it's people your age who were too young for Jedi Academy, never played it. And they grew up on the Force Unleashed, and they just have these nostalgia goggles on for them, for that game. Yeah. And it's just so funny how like playing it again, thinking about the fandom and what the fandom complains about today, and how they praise Force Unleashed, they praise KOTOR, they praise all this stuff. I'm just like, I don't think y'all guys actually played any of this stuff.
Or like, at the minimum, they like played the story when they were a kid. Lucy remembered it being good, does not remember it today, and did not play any of the DLCs because the DLCs are laughable. Like, okay, you killing Obi-Wan, then killing Force Ghost Obi-Wan, like, the fuck? And then you dominate Luke? Huh?
It's funny because after playing this, I was like scrolling TikTok, and I got the video of Sam Witwer talking about window theory. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, when you're a kid, you have a window, and it's wide open, and so you're just absorbing things, and you're not thinking about like the plot, you're not thinking about all the technical details, you're not thinking about all this, you're just absorbing it, and you're loving it. And as you get older, that window starts to shrink and shrink and shrink, and you start to think about things more critically. You start to think about all these things in a different light. And he puts it in a good way. It's like, it's very important to let those critical thoughts come in and consume media in a more skeptical way, but you got to pry that window open.
Yeah.
You can't let that window close, because if you close that window, nothing will be good, nothing is enjoyable, and you won't find any value in anything. And I think it is when a lot of people who are fans today, and they're the ones on TikTok, they were less than 10 years old when they played this game.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the game's going to be 20 years old soon. Like it's 17 years old now, and it'll be 20 in 3 years. And the 20 somethings that are talking about Star Wars today, they played this game when they were kids. And that's what it comes down to. But yeah, like I will say, I think it's still a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a bad game. If we're ranking Star Wars games based on the ones we've talked about on the show, I think this is better than the Clone Wars.
Oh, 100%. It's not even close.
I think Clone Wars is a good game, but I think as the ranking stands right now, The Force Unleashed is the Pod One Podcast's official greatest Star Wars video game of all time. And the Clone Wars has been dethroned as the worst Star Wars video game of all time, unfortunately, for the Clone Wars. Until the next time we play a game, that could change. It could become the second best Star Wars video game of all time, or it could stay the worst. We'll have to figure out what game we're playing next. I have an idea.
I think we should do a wheel.
I think a wheel is tricky because some games take longer than others.
That's why I picked Force Unleashed, because I was like, it's 5 hours. Like, if you do it in like 3 different sessions, you can immediately run through the game.
I think we should play Squadrons, the campaign.
I could be down. I've never played Squadrons campaign. I played online, but I've never played the career mode.
The campaign's good. But that's all I've got for Force Unleashed. Do you have any other thoughts on Force Unleashed?
I mean, nothing really outside of what we hit on. Like, Starkiller being a weak character, Coda being like really like rough characterization, and then Juno being like a dull love interest, and then and Vader being basically just getting bitch slapped the entire game. Like, I don't really have much
the entire game
outside of that. Oh yeah, also we forgot like the unironic like ness of like the memes of the game of like the I did not summon him with him just stabbing Starkiller in the stomach, and then the I lied. like there is some like it's not supposed to be funny, but like now
you said you would stay away. I lied.
And then just Proxy just constantly just trying to kill you every 3 seconds. You're just like, Jesus Christ, Proxy, just calm down for like 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like it's a fun game. If you haven't played it, you should play it. You should keep your mind open. Understand that it's rough in some spots, but I will say it is some of the most fun you can have with a lightsaber in a video game.
Yeah.
I think that there is a challenge to the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor games that can make you feel less cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you want to feel cool and be a badass with a lightsaber and you don't have a VR headset, Force Unleashed is the game to play.
You can play Fallen Order in VR? Since when?
No, you could play Blade and Sorcery in
VR.
Blade
and Sorcery. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, huh?
I mean, you can play any video game in VR technically.
Oh yeah, because like there's always those like videos of like nostalgia, like people like with CRT televisions, and then like they're playing like PS2 games in VR. Like,
no, there's software that lets you play like any game in VR. Yeah, and like you can do virtual desktop stuff. That's really interesting. So,
but yeah, like I think that kind of just wraps up our Force Unleashed discussion. I do want to mention though, we should have mentioned at the beginning, but I'll mention it at the end. Star Wars did release a trailer today for Lego Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2.
Oh, I saw I did see it. I thought I'd know that was what you were going to talk about. Yeah, I saw that. I saw the little teaser on that. I'm excited. I'll watch it.
Comes out in 2 weeks.
The first season was good. First season was really good.
Yeah. Like the way that we describe like Book of Boba Fett with like Robert Rodriguez, just like taking a giant toy pit and just like slamming it together. That's pretty much what this is. Just it's like Book of Boba Fett episode 8, but just for an entire season of television. Like it's just
more kid friendly.
More kid friendly, but it's just them having fun with the Star Wars sandbox, and it is nice to have a little bit of like a break in the fandom from all the kind of acolyte bullshit that's kind of going on right now, and kind of just going to rebuild the galaxy for a little bit to like focus on that because again, right now talking about anything in the Star Wars fandom is just exhausting because it's just the same 5 talking points on loop.
Yeah. One of those things that, our friend Element 7 said was that not everyone has seen the videos explaining, what actually happened in that show. Or any piece of the Star Wars fandom, whether it's the sequel trilogy or the Acolyte or the Kenobi show, whatever it is. There's so much misinformation out there that, if you want these shows and these movies to be taken seriously, we do need to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to have these conversations more than one time. Because, talking to a lot of people about the Acolyte and the sequels, recently, I think there are more in my entire time on TikTok and social media talking about Star Wars. I have learned, I think there are more people who are willing to have a conversation about Star Wars and things they may have misunderstood than there are people who just want to put fingers in their ears and shout at you.
Yeah.
And I think that those people who put their fingers in the air, they shout so loud that people believe them. And I think it's important that people do get the right information, and sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Because when you start talking to someone and they're like, oh, I really like the Acolyte. Oh, that's great to hear. It's like, I had one problem with the Acolyte. Oh, what's that? Why was Ki-Adi-Mundi there? It's like, here we go.
All right. Time to rip out the old Wikipedia is not a canon source, and it doesn't matter because they were on the Legends tab bullshit.
Yeah. Well, here, it's been so interesting talking to people that are like, here's why I didn't like the Acolyte, for example. And they have a fresh take. And they're just like, I didn't like, something like, I really liked the character, like someone saying they really liked the characters Vernestra and Sol, and they feel like the main characters, May and Osha, were less like interesting than the subsequent characters, Chimere, Sol, and Vernestra. And that they're like, oh, I don't have a problem with, Jackie and Jord being killed. They're like, I just wish the main characters would have been the more interesting characters. And I'm like, that's totally valid.
That's a good criticism.
Yeah, and I'm just like crazy that it's like those criticisms are so few and far between. It's like, and it's one of those things. It starts with, I feel. Like, I feel like it would have been better at this, not, man, Osha were trash.
Yep.
Okay. That doesn't help. Like, what about them were trash? I didn't like them. Okay, those are different statements. But no, like it's interesting. Like, and I like talking about it. And it is interesting talking to people again, to bring it back to Force Unleashed, where it's just like, either you played this game when you were very young or you didn't play it at all, because you would not have the complaints you have if one of those weren't true.
And it's like, to like fully round this out, like I know this has been a discussion for like 11 years now, since like the new canon has been like instigated of like should they bring Starkiller in the canon? No. I think everything that Starkiller did in this game, and like everything that like all the cool things that happened in this game, have been ripped out already, and they've been adapted in like more interesting ways. Like, I prefer the Inquisitorius over Starkiller as a concept. I think Kanan and Ezra are more interesting Jedi people to help form the Rebel Alliance and like make them who they are without making them too important. And then you still get the cool concept of like a blind Jedi. Like, everything that's interesting about the Force Unleashed, which were like 3 things, have been adapted and done better. Like if you brought Galen Merrick into canon, you would have to make him such a drastically different character. It's like, what is even the point of even doing it?
I'm going to give you a hot take. After playing this again, I think what you said is right. You would need to change him so drastically for him to work. But I think you could bring Galen Merrick into canon. I think if you take the concept of, and I'm gonna say this, the idea that Darth Vader, a Sith Lord, had a secret apprentice to take over Palpatine when the time was right. Not crazy. Also, in the gaps between Luke training with Obi-Wan and Yoda, and then the time between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, you could have, in the same way that Vader sent Galen to start the Rebel Alliance, to gain more power in the Empire, he could send Galen Merrick to train Luke.
I honestly thought like gun to my head, like all right, Lucasfilm shows up my door and it's like, you have to make this work. You have to adapt Starkiller. The way I would do it is I would do it in a Tales format. You do it in 3 episodes. You do a very loose, rough ripping of the story. Starkiller is Vader's secret apprentice. You could say he was an Inquisitor at some point, got kidnapped, and then got trained in the Inquisitorius. Vader really liked him and made him his secret apprentice, and then trained him even more further away from them. Starkiller maybe hunt a couple Jedi, not anyone prominent, not anyone cool. Maybe a Glup Shadow from the Clone Wars. Pick your poison. There's probably one that I'm missing.
He's the reason that the guy who's in the cryostasis on Kenobi. What's
the way that I was thinking that too? The way my brain, we kind of locked up. I was thinking that, the one that trained Ahsoka.
He's there. He's the reason he's there. I think you can do it. I think the Tales thing is good. I think you can have it where he connects to everything. Kind of like I said, he gets sent to train Luke Skywalker. Because I think you can even do it. It's like, why is Luke using Force Choke in Return of the Jedi? Why is he wearing all black? Starkiller showed him.
Yeah. And then
you can have fun with it. I think that it just comes down to do you want the Force push into disintegration Starkiller, or do you want the secret apprentice Starkiller?
And most people want power fantasy Starkiller. They don't want
power fantasy.
They don't
Starkiller,
want Vader has a secret apprentice, and then because I think you end the Tales format kind of like the beginning of the game ends. Except you make it more of a duel instead of Vader just stabs Starkiller in the back. Basically you get to the same point. Vader kills Starkiller and then moves on to Luke and Empire. That's your
or Luke kills him.
Or Luke kills him. Either or works. And you could even one of my favorite fan theories for Vader is Vader recruits people that reminds him of certain people. That's a popular theory of why Vader goes to Boba Fett. It's because it reminds him of Rex. Why he goes to Afra, because it kind of reminds him a little bit of Ahsoka. You can kind of say the same thing with Starkiller, because the way he kind of fights, he kind of gets a little bit of a reminder, about Ahsoka, and it's man, kind of get those similar vibes. And it's kind of like Anakin kind of justifying to himself and trying to repent that part of himself, and you could make that the story.
I wouldn't be surprised if Disney brings him back because he is a fan favorite character. Will it happen? We don't know. I'm not so against it, but again, you got to change so much. The story doesn't work. No, it just doesn't. It doesn't even work with the Clone Wars. So, that's all I have about this. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, I think we hit everything that we could possibly hit with this game.
All right. Well, in that case, thanks for people for tuning in, whether you're listening or watching on YouTube. Hereth, where can we find you all over the internet?
The good people can find me at Hereth Productions on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at Hereth Productions. And of course, you can find me here every Thursday night talking about whatever we're going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks. I know Lego Rebuild the Galaxy comes out on September 1st. So that's our next piece of content. And then after that is Visions. But between them, we'll be talking about games, books, and then just news coverage as stuff is just coming out.
All right. Sounds good. Well, you can find me at Forward Into the Black on basically all social media. I'm mostly on TikTok, but you can find me every Thursday here on the Pod Ones podcast. We'll see you next week talking about something or another.